Hi, and welcome to this client tutorial on how we use NetGalley to maximize author exposure. Okay, so literally we know that visibility and reviews are vital to an author's success. One of the tools that we use to help our authors get their books in front of the right audience is NetGalley. It's a trusted platform where publishers and authors basically connect with professional readers. So that could be reviewers, booksellers, librarians, educators, journalists, lots of different people. They basically have to sign up to get an account. If there's any funny business, if they're not real people or whatever, and they're not doing a decent job of communicating and being an active participant within NetGalley, then they do get booted off. And it does mean that because we've been using it for a long time, we can also see sort of the right sorts of people that we want to have access to our books. So very credible, very reliable system. They have a lot of copyright protection things in operation as well, and there's a whole load of information about that on their website. But essentially, we do trust them. We've been using them for 7 years, and we do think it's a really good place to get reviews. Okay, so basically, we're going to just quickly have a look at some of the top line figures just as to why we think it is a valuable place to invest our time and money in. So basically, there's around 71,000 people who are active members in the UK and over 600,000 globally. As I mentioned, these tend to be reviewers, booksellers. We've got librarians, teachers, or educators, as they're called on there, and obviously journalists. You've got various book trade professional members, so literary agents and publishers also use the platform. Overall, on average, there are 9 million page views each month on netgalley.com and 1.4 million on netgalley.co.uk. So, big numbers of people visiting those pages. NetGalley members submit over 150,000 reviews for digital review copies and audiobooks each month. They have around 250,000 members who've expressed an interest in audiobooks, which is a 20% increase over the past year. And they say that their top fiction categories are romance, general adult fiction, mystery and thrillers, sci-fi and fantasy. And their top non-fiction categories are biographies and memoirs, non-fiction adult as a general, true crime and history. So we've been working with NetGalley since 2017, and we're one of the very first publicity companies in the UK to actually integrate it into our services and strategies for indie and traditionally published authors. We've got a lot of experience. We've managed more than 400 campaigns on NetGalley over that time. So step one is that we set up the book basically on NetGalley. So first of all, once we've got all the relevant files, so we will need a typeset PDF or EPUB file of the inner of your book. We'll need a high-res JPEG of the front cover. Ideally, we'd need a blurb, or we'll just grab that off of the Amazon or your website or wherever. If you've got anything like an AI, which is like a one-pager, any press releases or any other press materials that you've prepared, or if we're working on your campaign on a wider level, we'll prepare that for you. We have those, and then also any links, so like website, social media, that sort of thing. So once we've got that, all the files, we get the book live on NetGalley. We basically have to then ensure that it's optimized for maximum impact. So, for example, we look at things like metadata and categories. We look at carefully selecting the genres, the keywords, etc., so that the book reaches the right reviewers. Now, it's important to note here that there are limitations to the categories that we can select. We don't choose those categories as in the list. We get to choose from the list. So you might be like, oh, well, I think it should be in this particular genre, and it might not be available, and that's why we haven't put it in there. So they're quite, I'd say, they're getting better, but they're still quite broad. The book cover and description obviously is something that we really have a role in. So ideally we'd like a really compelling blurb, eye-catching cover. That's really, really important. Obviously we can't do anything about the cover, but what we can do is have a look at the blurb and rewrite it if we think it would work better for NetGalley in a certain way. Anything around like the author bio, publisher info, we also put that in there. And then we put the request settings. So depending on the book, we may either allow automatic approvals, which is basically read now, or manual approvals, which is request now. Or we might do mix of both to control who gains access. So typically it's request now, and then we can make a call if necessary. We need to shift the gears after a few weeks. You do get to see the link, and if there's any changes that you want to make, then we can make those. We don't ask for too many rounds of amendments because it does impact the number of requests that you get. So step 2 then is managing reviewer requests and outreach. So once the book is live, we basically monitor the requests daily on a sort of Monday to Friday basis, sometimes also on the weekend, but there's no guarantees of that. So Kay is in charge of that on our literary team, and she goes in every single working day. So essentially no one has to wait more than 24 hours typically after requesting to read one of our books. We can vet requests to prioritise librarians or booksellers or journalists, but typically we don't advise that. We say just try and get as many people reading and reviewing as possible. Obviously, over time, we get to know who reviews and who doesn't, and it's not always just about the reviews that we get, but it's about the person's influence and their connections and how helpful they might be for your book. So even if we think that they might not be actually going to write a review, it might be helpful for them to have access to the book, because then they might actually be able to talk about your book. And we've known that as a result of journalists having access, they might not have actually provided a review via NetGalley, but they've then covered the book in national newspapers. We know that librarians have put books forward for prizes, even though they haven't reviewed on NetGalley. And we also know that booksellers have ordered books, even though they've not reviewed. So it's not just about getting the reviews, which hopefully you'll come to see as we go through. We can also send out invitations. So basically on the bigger packages of the NetGalley offerings that we have for literary authors, we reach out to key contacts and people who have already requested similar books in the past. So we basically do a bit of matchmaking. So more proactive messaging, basically. And yeah, that's a way of really trying to make sure that we get as much bang for your buck as possible. Step 3 is maximising the feedback and the reviews. So our goal is not just to get the downloads, but to get a lot of helpful insights and data that can help form future marketing strategies. So of course, we really want to secure quality reviews, but that's not the only goal of a NetGalley campaign at Literally. So for example, we do follow-up emails. So we check in with approved reviewers, remind them that the book's deadline is approaching for feedback. So once the listing ends, for example, they won't be able to download the book anymore if they haven't already. So sometimes we would offer an incentive, such as a paperback book, because obviously they've only got the digital, or some sort of bonus content if they manage to get the review in by a set time. We also encourage cross-posting. So we politely request that the reviewers post their thoughts on the likes of Amazon and Goodreads and social media. None of them have any obligation to do so, but if they can, then that's great. Typically, if they are going to review, what happens is they basically review on NetGalley, and you can then take those reviews off of NetGalley and use them and amplify them. I do have a tutorial about amplifying reviews if you want to watch that, which is in the vault. So, and also we engage with reviewers. So any sort of positive feedback we will respond to. If a reviewer states that they're happy to be connected with the author, then we'll make that happen. But just to manage expectations, that's not that common to happen. Step 4, analysing NetGalley reports and making data-driven decisions. So NetGalley provides really, really valuable insights. I'm a complete nerd when it comes to analysing the data. I do all the reports basically for NetGalley for our clients. And we use that data to refine book marketing strategies. So for example, we analyse the actual review content, or their themes in the reviews. Is there a key selling point that we need to be looking at? Is there any areas that could actually be focused on for improvement? And then obviously we look at things like reader demographics, so understanding which countries tend to be most attracted to this particular book. Often it's the UK or the US, but it's not always that clear cut. Sometimes books get readers from up to 10 and plus countries. Sometimes it's just the UK, sometimes it's more US. It really depends. Obviously we're a UK based agency, but we work with authors around the world. However, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's all about the book. The book really talks to the different readers in different demographics, different countries. And then we look at things like the professions and the reviewer types. And we see if, for example, there's a lot of librarians and educators engaging with the book, then that might actually help in terms of tailoring future outreach. And then we look at things like conversion insights. So obviously, you don't have any point of context because you won't have done a NetGalley campaign before, or probably won't have had access to the data if you have. So we basically track how many downloads lead to reviews, and we try and adjust our approach accordingly. But we'll also be quite honest with you about whether it's above average or not in terms of how many people have asked, how many people have withdrawn, how many people have left feedback, that kind of thing. So step 5 is leveraging NetGalley success in your actual marketing. So the NetGalley results, I don't think they need to just stay on the platform. I think they can really help build long-term visibility. So using review snippets, we really recommend you extract those standout quotes, feature them in press releases, advertising, and social media. Again, we have this tutorial in the Vault, which is all about amplifying book reviews and making book reviews part of your longer term strategy. Highlight that positive feedback. So, we really recommend that authors showcase high rated reviews on Amazon and Goodreads and on your website. And obviously, if we're doing a wider PR campaign, then pitching media and retailers with bits of really cool reviews is always a good thing. So in terms of final thoughts, basically NetGalley is a complete game changer for our authors in my experience. By strategically managing NetGalley campaigns, we can help authors gain early reviews, or we can build a bit more buzz post-launch. It helps with industry credibility and obviously wider exposure. It really gets the book onto the radar of more people in more countries, which I think is an invaluable thing to do. You can, of course, get your own NetGalley listing. It's about £475 plus to list a book. Our prices start from 149, and obviously with that you get our expertise in analysis and support, and you don't have to do any of the actual legwork at all because we do it all for you. So yeah, we bring our 7 years of experience with NetGalley to the table, and obviously that we also bring the human approach. So in terms of our analysis and positioning, our feedback and insights, evaluation of data, basically it's all grounded in decades of experience, and we genuinely do love the platform for its ability to open new options and to get the book out onto the radar, as I said, of more VOP target readers in more countries. The fact that some of our campaigns have resulted in hundreds, literally hundreds of reviews is basically like the cherry on the top of the cake. So if you are interested in doing a NetGalley campaign with us, or perhaps you've already signed up for one and that's why you're watching this video to find out more about how it all works, then obviously you are very welcome to get in touch. We offer bronze, silver, and gold packages, depending basically on the length of the campaign and the amount of feedback, engagement, and support that you require. Hopefully that's helpful. And if you have anything else that you would like me to do a tutorial on, then just let me know. Thank you.